If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Central Valley Talk. My name is Ray Johns. I'm your host. And we'd just like to welcome you to Central Valley Talk. And, we're going to do something a little bit different. We say every week, and I'll say that we hope that your voice will get heard today, and perhaps it will. I want to do something a little bit different today. First of all, I apologize again for the glasses. I'm going to embarrass this young man that gave me these glasses. Michael is our head technician here. He is absolutely outstanding. I wish we could turn the camera on him. If I look good, it's because of him. If I sound good, it's because of him. And Michael, we thank you for all that you do and making this show so much better. Ladies and gentlemen, I have four best friends. Three of them are right now in life's threatening situations, and I would give their names, but I haven't asked them permission. I'm sure it would be okay. But something amazing has been happening since I found out about this. Before I go to bed at night, I send them each a positive statement, and when I get up in the morning, sitting on the side of my bed, I do the same thing, and they get three different positive things. Well, they have gone from not feeling well and not thinking that they were going to get better to having a lot of hope. And I've watched this, and I've used quantum physics and a new science called epigenetics, and it is working. It is making their lives better, and it has just amazed me at what's happening. So I need your help. Please, if you would just pray for these three wonderful men, I would really appreciate it. I want to take it to the next level. Okay, we're going to talk about the health care bill here today, and but before we do that, we're gonna go to a short video with Mike Pence talking about the health care bill, and we're gonna come back, and I'm gonna introduce Gary again, and he's gonna explain to you about what happened. We were supposed to have the doctor here. I apologize again for that. I know a lot of you at my club, GB3, have tuned in. You all said you would today to watch and hear the doctor, but we're going to take advantage of this, and you'll see why when Gary comes on. We've got some things to tell you that are happening in this country that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. But we're going to go to the video now. When we come back from the video, we're going to talk about the health care bill. So we'll be back shortly.
On behalf of the President, welcome to the White House. I'm truly honored to be able to welcome organizations that literally represent millions of Americans and millions of businesses back here to the White House at such a critical time in our efforts to rescue the American people from the disastrous policies of Obamacare. I'm grateful to be joined by groups ranging from the Chamber of Commerce and NFIB to Concerned Women for America, the National Taxpayers Union, American Conservative Union, Club for Growth, and the like. But thank you to each and every one of you for the way your organizations have stepped forward to make the case to the American people that we can repeal and replace Obamacare with policies that are built on freedom, that are built on state-based reform, and that will give the American people access to the world-class health care that they need and deserve. We gather today, we are just a few days away from a critical vote in the Congress, a vote to begin the debate on the repeal and replace of Obamacare. And President Trump and I are urging every member of the United States Senate to vote to begin this debate. Every one of the groups that are gathered here today, the millions that you represent, are here to speak with one voice to say to the Congress, it's time to vote. It's time to act. It's time to get on with a debate to repeal and replace Obamacare. As President Trump said, when members of the Senate gathered here at the White House just a few short days ago, inaction is not an option. And frankly, as the president said, any senator who doesn't vote to begin the debate is essentially telling the American people that they're fine with Obamacare. And that's just unacceptable, because we all know the truth. Obamacare is collapsing all across the country as we speak. It's putting a burden on working families and American taxpayers and job creators all across this nation. We all remember the broken promises of Obamacare. I have Dr. Price here. He and I were both members of Congress when the debate over Obamacare happened in the Congress 7 years ago. I can still hear those promises ringing in my ears, can't you? That's right. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. Not true. If you like your health insurance, you can keep it. Not true. The cost of health insurance would go down if Obamacare passed. Not true. We all know the facts. Even though we were promised that families would save $2,500 a year in premiums if Obamacare became law, according to our analysis at HHS, the average Obamacare plan today costs nearly $3,000 more than a plan did as recently as 2013. While premiums are soaring, choices are plummeting. Next year, at least 40% of American counties, including 9 entire states, will have only one choice of a health insurance provider, which is essentially no choice at all. And in many jurisdictions around the country, there's not even one choice. So the time has come for Congress to act. The President and I are truly grateful to the organizations represented around here for lending your voices for working families, voices for businesses large and small, to our effort to repeal and replace Obamacare. And we just urge you in the days that remain between now and this vote early next week to reach out to people across this country and let them know that we're close. We literally are just a few votes away from beginning a debate that will repeal and replace Obamacare in the United States Senate. Congress needs to step up. Congress needs to do their job, and every member of the United States Senate should vote to begin the debate to rescue the American people from the disastrous policy of Obamacare, and we are grateful for your support. With that, I want to recognize the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Dr. Tom Price, for his thoughts on this moment. And let me just say, this is a historic moment. For 7 years, the American people have seen the broken promises of Obamacare, and we are just days away and a few short moments and just a few votes away from being able to keep a promise that every Republican in the Senate, every Republican in the House has made to the American people. And our message today, our message to each one of you and the groups that you represent is make sure the American people know that it's time for Congress to act, and it's time for the American people to let their voice be heard. There is no voice more powerful in Washington, D.C. than the voice of the American people. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You're right. It is an historic moment. This is an historic room, and this is an historic time for the American people and for your organizations. I just want to thank you, lend my echoing words of the Vice President, but to thank each and every one of you for the productive and positive discussion and action that you have brought about over the past number of months. Time is of the essence. The fact is that the American people deserve and demand that Washington addresses their problems and their challenges. And this is a challenge that...
Okay, I'm back. I wanted you to see that because it leads into what we're going to talk about today, and I think you'll understand why. Gary, welcome back to the show, buddy.
Good to be
we had Dr. Willie Ewing come in today. It's Gary's personal physician, and he was going to talk about health care. And I'm going to let Gary explain to you why he's not here today. And first of all, I apologize for that. I know a lot of you tuned in to see him. And so Gary's going to explain what happened. It's pretty interesting. Gary?
Yeah, I got a call last night from Dr. Ewing and telling me that he was going to have to cancel. And of course, he's busy, so I just figured that was it. Mm-hmm. But he had to cancel because he is a doctor affiliated with the hospital in Hanford, the Adventist Hospital.
He's one of the head people, isn't he?
Yeah, in fact,
the administrator,
he is.
I think.
But I guess what happened is he went to someone there, and they didn't know anything about the kind of show that we're having. And so they advised him not to appear on the show, and until they seen what the show was.
Can you believe that?
Well, here's what you can believe. There is nothing more American, nothing more American patriotic than this show right here.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. What a wonderful thing to say. Thank you. I hope so.
And what Vice President Pence said right at the end, the voice of the American people need to be heard.
And they're not being heard, ladies
And
and
that
gentlemen.
they're not being heard.
No.
And this is, it is nothing personal in terms of Dr. Willie Ewing. The man is a patriot. He was one of the very few that ever become a flight surgeon and also a combat-ready fighter
That's
pilot
just-
for the U.S. Navy.
That's amazing to me that he was both of those.
He was both of them. Plus, he has risked his life for this country many, many times.
And yet he can't come on and voice his opinion.
Right.
How un-American is
Well,
that, Gary?
that goes to show you, though, if you read into what the Obamacare thing was all, it was about a single control and a stifling of the voice of the American people.
That's
part of
exactly
the
what
Obamacare.
happened.
I mean, when they tell you, you can go in the hospital, but you have to do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do this, that's what that's all about.
Yes, it is.
It was all about control of the American people. And this illustrates to me and graphically that purpose and how evasive it has become, in the sense that here you have someone who was coming down here to inform his point
I
of
look
view.
so forward to this, and I so
Yeah.
apologize to all you people out there.
Well,
for
I
this.
mean, it's just one of those things. But here's the thing, though, as far as he was willing and thought it was a great idea for the people to hear from the medical perspective
Exactly.
of the doctor.
That's
right?
why I was so looking forward to
And
it.
so that's why anyone would be looking forward to it. And as far as politically, I don't know what his politics are. I don't know if he's Democrat, Independent, or Republican.
It really didn't matter,
And
did
it didn't matter.
No.
I cared less.
Yeah.
You know, and I just wanted to hear his voice because of an opinion. This is an opinion and information
He's
show.
a physician, and you know, I
Right.
talked to people at the club this morning, and at the end of my spin class, I went to the front of the class, I asked everyone, and boy, they just went, yeah, I had so much response. Everybody was excited about watching the show, and I'm sure you are watching the show, and like I said, we apologize for this. It couldn't be helped. It's
But-
like he fell into the throngs, didn't he?
Well, of course, I mean, obviously, he thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, and I presented it to him. And but it goes to show you how Obamacare has taken away the independence of our doctors.
Isn't that amazing?
Think about that.
That is just amazing to me that it has that much power.
It has that much influence. Now, I can understand these people saying, well, I don't know what kind of show that is. Well, let's look at it this way. You have Dr. Ewing here, highly respected individual. Would he go on something that would be detrimental?
Of course he would not. Of course this man would not.
No, he came on strictly, or was willing to come on strictly to inform his point of view and answer some questions that people may have.
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
is an American show. Gary said it. That's what this is all about. This is a show about America. That's
Right.
what we're about.
exactly. And so I felt bad for him,
I do too.
and I feel real bad for him. He's a good friend of mine, been for 40 years.
He's your personal physician,
right,
as I understand.
and he was willing to do that, and I felt so bad for him, quite frankly,
Yeah.
because but it also goes to illustrate to all of us just how pervasive this Obamacare has become, to where it starts to silence the American voice, and that's what Vice President Pence, in his last sentence,
Said just now.
just
Yeah.
now.
You know, here's what blows my mind about all of this. I mean, can't the people see what's going on with Obamacare? I mean, it's not just failing slowly, it is spiraling downward right now. And you heard what
Right.
Pence said. I mean, you know, in another year, it's going to be a total, complete disaster. It already is.
Well, it
But-
already is, but the thing that you got to look at is this these hospitals like this one is a tax exempt hospital. And of course, they want to keep that status.
Of course they do.
But they're being instructed to do certain things in the community, which is beyond giving you stitches for your cut arm or something. In other words, it's getting into the social part, which
Sure.
was the intent of Obamacare.
Yeah.
Is to socially change the social structure. And so these hospitals, to maintain their tax-exempt status, are having to jump through regulations and hoops like you can't believe in the Obamacare,
Just to stay in existence.
just to stay in existence. And now we're talking about social things, not just a medical condition. They're having to go beyond that because of Obamacare which has become a social restructuring and changing. When you stop the voice of the American people, and you are now forced to conduct a business that is not your business as a medical.
Exactly.
It's a social business.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be in that.
No, they're not. Their business is medical. That's it.
And
you know.
through this Obamacare thing, there's the pressure, and we've seen it firsthand today
Yeah.
with a cancellation to coming on the show.
What does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen?
And to me, it told me volumes.
Yes, it did.
And I checked to see who was benefiting with Obamacare financially. Okay, the top 7 hospitals in the United States, their revenues under Obamacare increased $4.5 billion per year.
Is that not amazing?
We're talking about per year of Obamacare, those revenues for the top 7 hospitals.
Now, their revenue's going up. What's happening with the people?
Well, what's happening to the people? Of course, what's happening? They always talk about how many will fall off of being insured. They don't talk about the millions and millions that are becoming uninsured every day.
Every
under
day.
Obamacare.
Every single day.
They never
becoming
mention
uninsured.
that. They never
Yeah.
mention. They mentioned, oh well, there'll be 1 million that's going to not be insured with this.
But yet you've got these libtards, as Gary
Yeah.
call them, and I call them the useless idiots, they're the same thing, that are out here screaming and yelling, and it's like they're
They don't
blowing
know
in the
what they're
wind.
talking
They
about.
have no idea what they're talking about.
Well,
they
they're
have
the
none.
useful idiots necessary for an overthrow.
Yeah.
Okay, you look at the Marxist manifesto, and one of the things is the first thing you do is you tackle the health care.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
We're talking
what
about
Obamacare's
Marxism.
all about.
Marxism. That's
That's
exactly
the
what
first
it's
thing
about.
you go for.
Yeah.
Is the health part of it. It's in one of those 8 steps to become a communist country.
Yeah.
So what you really have here is the sovereignty of America against globalists. Who in the world would want Obamacare if in fact you weren't a globalist?
It doesn't make any
I
sense,
mean,
Gary.
that's the only reason you can want it.
Yeah.
Because it has no other reason.
It has none whatsoever.
At all.
Can't they see this? That's what gets me. Why can't they see this? This is what bothers me so much.
And like I say, I don't know. Again, I don't know what Dr. Ewing's
Political affiliation is.
or bent on it.
Yeah.
But I do know this: I would certainly want to hear it and certainly respect
Oh, I was.
it.
Me too. I was really
Because
looking
maybe
forward
I'm
to it.
all wrong. How do
Yeah.
I know until I hear somebody give a
exactly.
different point of view?
But I certainly was looking forward to having a doctor on the show,
Right.
and having him voice his opinion.
Because silence of voice is very dangerous to America. Because
Absolutely.
we're sitting here in this one incident. You think this is the only one in the country?
Of course not.
How many other Dr. Willies are not able or were told not to appear and express their view and opinion?
I just couldn't believe this. I couldn't believe it. When Gary got here and told me this, I thought, oh my goodness, I can't wait to explain to the people why.
Well,
So
of
there you
course.
have it, you know.
Well, they were concerned about an image, you know. Well, what image are they concerned about? They're concerned that he's going to say something or be asked something.
That was probably it, that
Well,
he was going to be asked something. And
exactly.
believe me, I probably was going to ask him something. I probably would.
If that isn't a silencing of the America, exactly the opposite of what Pence just said. Now, if you want nothing else but a contrast of what Obamacare is about and what we're trying to change it to be, there's no better
They stopped all-
contrast. Where you stop, the one stops the voice and the other one,
You know, the bottom line, Gary, they
freedom.
stomped all over his First Amendment rights, didn't
of
they?
course.
They stomped all over it,
Or
you know.
you know, it's. I can understand, and I told him, I said, "Don't feel bad." I understand his position entirely because that is
He had
part
no
of
choice.
it. He had no choice.
He had no choice.
No.
This is his job.
No,
you know?
and the point is, though, we as America, I remember my doctor way back when I was a kid, they come out to the house with a bag, and he wasn't owned by anyone.
They were independent.
They were
Yeah.
totally independent.
Yeah.
Now it's, and boy, they got to be careful, because if a hospital does the wrong thing, not according to Obama, they lose their taxes.
They lose benefits. They lose
And
benefits.
there's been hundreds and hundreds of millions spent by hospitals to keep their nonprofit status.
Sure.
You know, and gosh, you know, you don't want to jeopardize that.
It's just so sad that happens to be the way it is. I mean, it just, and I got to say, I'm not surprised. I know you're not.
I'm not.
You know, I'm not surprised at all.
Because I've been reading it all along that Obamacare was all about a control of the people,
Yeah.
a central control of the people.
And now we have it.
Now
we
we-
have it on this show firsthand, you know.
Like I said, there's nothing more American than patriotic.
I
than
love
this
it when
show.
you say this, and I
Even
appreciate that.
your glasses are.
I love these glasses. I thank Michael so much for them. Hopefully next week I'll be without them too, by the way, but I do like them.
But at any rate, I think that a lot was learned by nothing being said.
Yeah, yeah, by the silence, in the silence. Absolutely, Gary. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little break here. We'll be back here in, say, 2 and 2.
To me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea.
Okay, I'm going to give another shout out and again ask for your prayers. I must tell you, one of my friends, because of alcoholism, is probably going to go on a kidney machine. The other one, I found out last week, his heart stopped, and he has some cardiovascular problems. And I tell you, when I found out, I felt like my heart stopped. I mean, that's how much it affected me. And the third one has 4th stage colon cancer, okay? Now, their attitudes have changed because of what we've been doing together, the three of us. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to keep you informed on the shows, and we're going to beat this thing. I really honestly think with all three of them, and I'm going to give you a progress report on all three of them every week. And when we do, we're going to talk about epigenetics, and we're going to talk about quantum physics, because I think it's changing the world. We're going to do that. But right now, we're going to bring back Mr. Gary Miguel. This man has so much to tell us, and we're going to continue to talk about healthcare. The number will appear on the screen. If you're watching me now, I'm live. Please call in, talk to me, talk to Gary. Let's talk about this, okay? Because this is something that is very critical right now. People are losing their health care. They don't have a place to go, okay? And it's spiraling downward, isn't it, Gary?
Well, it is, and once you understand the purpose of it from the very beginning, in terms of the political purpose of it, was not for you. It was not for that at all. It was for the takeover of you.
Of course.
And when I say you, I'm talking about you, America.
That was a part of the grand plan.
That's a part of the grand plan.
And you think Hillary Clinton wasn't going to continue
well,
that?
of course
she was
not.
a part of it.
Well, she is it.
Yeah.
As well as a number of others. Okay, so I mean, we're talking about a socialist, communist, Marxist type of a government. And this has been going on here in the United States for a long time.
This is scary, Gary.
And
It
this is just
it
now
is very,
people are
very
well,
scary.
like myself. I didn't know this a couple of years ago.
I didn't either.
I'll give you an example. It's no longer about Republicans and Democrats. It's about globalists and Americans. Okay.
I agree with you.
Now I'm going to ask you this question. Think back to the Civil War, and the reason I do that, or I'm asking that, is because this does remind you of a Civil War.
That's what we've got going on right now, in a sense.
Right, in a
It's
political
sense, Civil War.
Yeah, and so let's think about that for a minute, and go back, and we have what's called America First. We have what's called Americans First. Well, if they're not first, then who's second?
Good question.
Who's second? Somebody is. Well, let me tell you who it is. The globalists.
Sure.
And these people that we have now in Congress and in the Senate are demonstrating almost daily that they
Right.
are in fact controlled by the globalists, which is
Like the deep state, in other words.
well,
if you call it.
the deep state would be, that's right. It's the deep state from the bureaucratic sense, and then it's the globalists or the uniparty from that economic sense, Wall Street and so forth.
Sure.
But they're all together in one goal, and that is to continue. It's not to start, but to continue to rape the American people as they have been doing for the last 40, 50 years.
Oh, this has been going on for a long
By
time.
the trillions.
Yes.
Trillions. Why is it that America isn't one of the wealthiest people? Well, in a way, they might say, yes, they are, but are they? Not when they keep taking the money away from you.
Well, it's just like what you said. That was startling to me about the top 7 hospitals. I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't either. And I thought,
That is
well,
just-
who's
Give
benefiting?
us those figures again.
Well, 4.5 billion per year.
That is
Okay.
a lot of
Well, what
money.
happens to the little ones? They couldn't keep up with the regulations. Well, we all know what that's like.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what happens? They had to fold and it becomes a bigger and bigger and
They
bigger.
become a part of that whole.
Right,
is
and
what
so
happens.
and eventually it becomes one, and that's the object. It's under any communist country is that way. It's controlled by one.
That's scary. Thank
And-
goodness
and
we have
that's-
Donald Trump. Thank goodness we at least have that now.
Well, absolutely. I don't know where we'd be without
oh
that.
my gosh, can you imagine?
Well, we'd be like Venezuela.
yeah, a
And-
once prosperous country, and now they're a third world country.
Right.
They're a third.
Yeah.
And people said, I said this a couple of weeks ago, and people said, no, they're not. I said, take a look at them. Are you kidding? Where have you been? Venezuela is a third world country.
Well, think about this, Ray. Let's look at it as a civil war, and let's go back to the Civil War. How many snowflakes and liberals would have supported the Confederacy? How many would have supported the United States, which was the North?
They would have all supported the United States.
They'd all supported the United States.
all of them would have.
And I got to ask you the question then: if they're not supporting the United States today, then who are they supporting?
They're supporting the globalists. That's who
Exactly.
they're supporting. That's exactly who
They're-
they
they
How
are-
sad is that? Okay, in this great country. How
Yep.
sad is that?
They are the necessary, useful idiots
Yes, they are.
for the globalists. Because there's no other. Why are they against America first? What would make you against America first?
Nothing.
Because
I'm
then you have to
totally
ask,
American
well, who's
first.
second?
Yeah.
Who would be against American people first in everything that's being done? First, we think of what is good for the American people. Now, why would you be against that unless you were a useful idiot?
Yeah, exactly.
You'd have to be some kind of a useful idiot, wouldn't you? Or an idiot, period. Think about it.
Well, that's true.
Why are they supporting the globalists? Why is the Congress and the Senate supporting the globalists? Because they're owned by the globalists.
Exactly, because they're own. Exactly.
They
It's all
weren't
a matter of
voted there.
economics.
They weren't voted into office by the globalists. I'm talking about the
I know.
Uniparty.
Yeah,
They weren't. That's not what got them in there. The people got them in there.
people did.
But then when they got in there, they didn't owe anything to the people any longer because they were owned and bought and paid for by the globalists. It's coming out more and more every day. We just seen a small example of that. Was just illustration. Why isn't
Right
it
here on
right
this
here?
show today with with Dr. Willie Ewing. I mean,
I feel sorry for him. You know,
I do too, Gary, and I feel
And
sorry
everybody
for, I
just
feel,
like him,
I
you
feel
know?
sorry for me, and I feel sorry for my audience because they didn't get a chance to meet this man, and hear his opinion. I was really looking forward to hearing his opinion, and I think a lot of people were. I mean, I pumped this up really hard
Oh,
this
sure.
morning.
And I think it's a service that he was actually providing. If you want to really, he was servicing a service to the American people by informing people like you and I that had no other, perhaps, means of being informed
Yeah.
correctly. And maybe we were off base on something, and he would now come up with something that would inform us and make us better informed.
Exactly.
I mean, it
That's
was
what I
a
was looking-
service the man was doing
Yes.
for crying out loud.
Yeah, And that was it. That was it. But they were afraid that he was going to say the wrong thing and was going to.
Well, what else would it be?
Yeah, exactly. And it was going to affect their status. How sad is that?
Well,
that
it's
something has that much influence and is that controllable.
Well, let's think about this. Isn't it sad that an institution or a hospital, as an example, in this example, isn't it sad that they have to now kowtow to a globalist?
Mm-hmm. They're like everybody else.
I mean, they're no different than everybody else.
Yeah.
They're being told or implied what to do and what not to do, and they're being regulated.
Is that America?
Is that America?
I ask you that. Is that America? No, it is not. I'll answer the question myself. It infuriates me.
Well,
man.
it should, and it does anyone. I mean, but I look at it, I says, well, here we are trying to learn, become informed.
Mm-hmm. And we had a perfect opportunity to have that happen today.
Right, and this, I got to thinking about that. I said, man, this is all over the nation.
Sure.
It's not just here. It's all over the nation.
Like you said earlier, this isn't the
control.
first time or the only place that this is happening. It's happening all over the country.
All over the place, yeah. And it's the voice that Pence, Vice President Pence, right at the end, he says, the American voice has got to be heard.
And it's not being heard, ladies and gentlemen. That's the sad part about it.
I was so glad he said that.
Oh, yeah. It fit right into the show today.
My Lord.
It fit right into it, which is why I wanted to do that video.
And we see a perfect example of what he's talking about. And the only reason he's saying that is because he knows the American voice is not being heard.
Exactly.
And it has to be heard.
Mm-hmm. It must be heard.
Because otherwise, then we as a nation fold. And we become a subject of the globalists.
I can't say it enough. I am so glad that we have Donald Trump. Thank goodness,
Right.
like Gary said, where would we be if we didn't have Donald Trump in this crisis at this time?
And he has nothing to gain other than the fact to make America first and make the American people benefit first. He has nothing else to gain.
No, not at all. First of all, he can't be bought.
Right.
I've said it 1,000 times. If I had Donald Trump's money, I would be off the coast of Barbados someplace, sitting on the deck of my yacht,
Well, you talk about a patriot, that's Donald Trump, if there ever was
Oh,
one.
my goodness.
I mean, look what he's given up. Look at the sacrifice his family goes through.
Gives his salary. He doesn't accept his salary.
I mean,
he doesn't need it. The man is for America. I mean, how could you not see that he is for America first? He has done everything that he said he was going to do. He continues to do everything that he says he's going to do. And you still have these useless idiots at every turn standing up and yelling. And it doesn't matter. No. Donald Trump could get up and say, I like cornflakes with raisins. And somebody would come out against that.
Well, there's such a huge fight against him by the people who have been ripping off Americans for years.
And that's why, because they're not going to be able to do that for much longer.
And that's the only reason.
Yeah, that is the only reason.
I mean, my Lord, if you were able to make your own decisions and have your own freedom to have your own destiny, self-destiny and so forth, I mean, and then look what's happening with the jobs. Jobs are increasing.
Exactly.
How come the jobs are increasing when the labor is 70% less coming across the border?
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
I was going to say that. Look
Who's
at the
filling
border
those
project.
jobs?
Yeah.
America first.
America first. And that's what we're doing.
Isn't that? I mean, how can you not like that?
I love this 70% less people crossing the border, And we haven't even built the wall yet.
No. Well, there's that wall that's built. It's called the Trump.
Yeah.
He's his own wall.
I like this. Trump is his own wall. He slowed the crossings.
Oh, my God. And then what he's done with the police, all over the nation, he's taken the handcuffs off policemen.
And that's what should happen.
When you go up and see a policeman and walk up to him, you could visually or somehow in your mind say, he doesn't have handcuffs anymore. I'm glad you don't. I'm glad you're free. I'm glad you're free to exercise your job the way it's supposed to be, which is to protect people like myself.
Exactly, Gary. Exactly.
And now you've had those handcuffs removed, and they're out doing that. They're they're very active with doing that. So
There hasn't been one thing that he hadn't moved toward that he said he was going to do.
Well, the
You know,
thing is,
and-
everything he says he's going to do is for the America first, and that's all he thinks. Think of the sacrifice, though, that his family has gone through.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, my Lord, I mean, the death threats and the I don't know, it just goes on. It's insane.
his how old is this child? 10 years old, something like that. This
It's
poor
ridiculous.
child. My goodness, could you be more innocent than 10 years old? You know,
I'll tell you what. When you sit there and you have in this country a celebrity on TV getting paid who knows how much money, raises the head like an ISIS, which is another thing. Did you know that Obama was, during his administration, they were funding the ISIS?
I'm not surprised at that.
And Trump
I mean,
just
look
now-
what happened in Iran. So I'm
Well,
not.
they
After
just
Iran,
cut it
I'm
off.
not surprised
They were
at all.
funding the ISIS in Syria with the idea that they would take over Assad, the premier,
Yeah.
or whatever he is.
Yeah, that's Assad.
Okay, the point I'm getting at is, why was the Americans funding ISIS at the same time ISIS is running havoc and killing American people? Why was that? Trump just stopped it. Just the other day, he stopped. He found out about well, I guess he knew about it, and they stopped it. But Obama was funding, and Hillary and that gang of Kerry, they were funding through the CIA, without the American people's knowledge again, right? You can't go on the show and talk.
You heard this first on this show, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to know that, okay?
you can't go on the show and talk about it.
This is amazing. This is just
How
amazing.
come we just
good
now
stuff.
finding out that Obama and that gang was funding ISIS
And it's
through
been-
the CIA?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, ISIS is
You weren't
here
going to
killing
I'll tell
Americans.
you what, you weren't going to hear it on CNN, were you?
No.
And you weren't going to read it in the Washington Post. That wasn't going to happen.
The public has to realize just how far down we have been drugged by a evil group of
What
people.
an inept administration.
And-
that's
and-
what I
and
said
that's-
from the
this
get-go,
goes,
and that's
uh,
what they've been.
This goes before Obama. I mean, we go back where the whole country, where the construct of the globalists. Go back to H.W. Bush
Yeah.
Sr. He was a globalist.
Yes, he was.
No, he was all global. No borders. Can you? Why no borders? Well, that way we can get all products all made very cheaply and send it all to America and drain the middle class.
Which is what they were
Obamacare
doing.
is the draining
Yeah.
of the middle class.
And what's Trump doing? I mean, he in his campaigns he talked about building up the American middle class, and that's what's happening now.
Right.
You can see that. You
Well,
know?
made in America.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it about made in America that you don't want? If you're an American,
I want all of it.
Yeah.
I want all
I
of it.
want
I
all
want
of it.
everything made in this country.
Right.
This is where it should be made. And he's said time after time, I'm tired of paying these people in these foreign countries. I'm tired of funding these people in these foreign countries.
Well, these foreign countries are controlled by a very relatively small group, which is that I call it the big club or the uniparty or whatever, but it's worldwide.
Sure it is.
I mean, there's in that elite club. But it's interesting, if there's never been a more vivid picture of the fact that we now know that the globalists own our Senate and our Congress, was the fact just this week when that was unable to get any of those politicians, no Democrats at all.
Exactly.
None at all. And those Republicans to turn down the repeal of Obamacare, and my Lord, we just explained all that's wrong with part of that, right?
Absolutely. Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, who in the world? Why did they turn it down? I mean, why didn't they turn down the opportunity? Because they were owned by who?
The
By
globalists
same people.
owned by them. Yeah, exactly.
So our Congress and Senate then, are they Democrats and Republicans?
It doesn't matter.
No, they're globalists.
It really doesn't matter.
They're
you know?
owned by globalists.
Yeah.
They get voted by you and I, thinking we got sending somebody back there that's going to do something. That's just a sham.
Which is what my dad used to refer to as horse pucky, and that's what it is, horse pucky.
I used to hear that, and I used to argue the other way. I'd say, no, you're being too cynical, you're this and that. But my Lord, how many times do I have to look at the picture before I realize it is what it is?
Exactly. It is exactly what it is. It's
know?
right in front of our face.
It's right in front of our face. And this has been going on, and thank God, had Trump not come along, where would we be right now? Think about it.
Headed toward Venezuela.
Headed toward Venezuela in a handcar.
Yeah. How sad is that?
And that's pretty sad, obviously. So, I think that more and more people are waking up. However, it's
You said
very
that
slow.
before, and I can see it too, Gary. I'm beginning to see
and
it.
it is slow.
It's going to be slow. It's not going to happen overnight.
Because a lot of people are too busy. They don't watch TV, and when they do, it's fake news.
And they believe it.
I
tell them every week, do your own due diligence. Gary and I have both given you sites you can go to and talk to. Gary only goes to one, I think, now, or two.
I go to a couple of them.
What's the one feed?
I go to the one I like the best is The Last Refuge.
Yeah, The Last
In
Refuge.
fact,
I've looked at that. It's wonderful.
There's some pretty heavyweight people go on that one.
Yeah.
And then you really get a
People are
first-hand
starting to
deal.
wake up. I think they are starting to wake up.
Well,
You can
people
see it,
are
like
start-
you said, it's
yeah.
slow, but you can see it.
Yeah, and people are waking up to some of the common sense of it because, if you're not a made in America, if you're not an America first, if you're not Americans first, if you're not for any
Why
of that,
wouldn't you be for that?
then what are you?
Yeah.
I
You're
mean,
a
really,
globalist.
what are you?
Yeah.
You're a globalist.
You've got to be.
You're being used and abused and enslaved by who? By the globalists.
Aren't you? These people are going to wake up and they're going to say, "My goodness, I'm ashamed of what I've been."
Well,
all
you know
this
what
time."
I say to that? Yes, you should be ashamed, but guess what? I'm going to forgive you.
Yeah, come on over to the right side.
Yeah, that's all that counts.
Yeah, and it does. I
Yeah.
agree with you, Gary. I do. Yeah, yeah.
I have
we'll
no-
forgive you. Just
Yeah.
wake up and come along.
Welcome aboard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in. I got you with that kind of a deal.
Yeah. No.
No,
We just want to, this country needs to be straightened out, which is what Donald Trump is trying to do. It's what he's going to do. Let me
Well,
put it
that's
that way.
another thing. Regardless, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
So you might as well be.
I feel like saying, why don't you just get on board? It's going to happen anyway.
Well, isn't it fun though when you see that because you feel like a winner every time?
Oh, absolutely.
Now,
you do.
why are you sitting there punishing yourself, being a loser? Because you're continually nothing but a loser, and you'll never win.
Never. And they're not making any progress.
No,
they're not making any progress.
In fact,
It's
it's going
like
the opposite.
Exactly, Gary.
And the more I just read this morning, the more that they are pounding on Trump, every time they do that, his popularity just gets
It
higher.
just
and
goes
higher.
up and up and up.
Yeah, because, like you said, I mean, who in the world wants to be a loser every time? Like, don't you get tired of being a loser in so many ways?
Well, I would if I were a loser.
what-
I'm not a loser, but if I were, yeah.
Well, I mean, in so many ways, and number one is freedom. Freedom to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
And we see that demonstrated.
We saw that demonstrated here today.
Right.
They took Dr. Ewing's First Amendment away. That's what they did. They trampled all over it. How sad is that? The man should have been on my show today.
I don't think they told him that he. Basically, they told him we want to see we don't know
Yeah.
what kind of show and that kind of thing.
Well, the fact that they even have to say that.
Well, I
tells you
agree
something,
there. You know, I mean, well, it tells you right now. I doubt if we have what we call independent doctors anymore. They can't be.
No, they
survive.
can't. They can't afford to be. You're right, Gary, and survive. They
And
can't.
survive. And we, as citizens, we need doctors.
I like your analogy earlier about the guy coming out with the bag and nobody told him what to do.
No.
No one even thought that way. No one even thought
And
like that.
and if he did something wrong, we didn't have look at the money that has been made from Obamacare by the lawyers, the tort people.
This is the most litigious society in the history of the world,
Guess what they are?
by far.
They're part of the big club, and they profit by all
Sure
of
they do.
this. And,
Sure they do.
And my Lord, those lobbyists and the congressmen and their lawyers, it's just incredible. And here we are. We have all these American people out there building things, making things, growing things, and
Progressing?
We're second class to that bunch of what I call evil, corrupt,
They are
criminal
that.
crooks.
They are that. They are evil. They are corrupt. They are crooks.
Yeah, because they're going against what America, if we get down to what America is about. If it's not America first, then what is second?
The globalists, as
Yeah,
we said.
okay, then I want you to answer me this. If you are, in fact, if we're not first and the globalists are second, then what do they stand for?
I don't think they stand for anything, Garrett, except corruption.
Good answer.
You know,
So,
I
so
am
if you're a American citizen out here, and you're backing the people who are the globalists and owned by the globalists, then why are you backing something that is corrupt, crooked, and criminal?
because they don't know what they're doing, for one thing. You know,
Because
these
the wool
idiots.
has been pulled over your eyes.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the reason it's
they
been
don't
pulled
know.
over because the voice has been silent.
Well, you and I talk about it all the time. We talk about it almost on a weekly basis when I'm fortunate enough to have you on the show. That, you know, these people, they don't know what they're doing. You know, they listen to the false media. I tell people every day, do your own due diligence. 90% of the news is false. 90% of it is false. It's not correct.
If all people did and did nothing else, and it only takes about a minute or two to do, if all they did was just check Trump's Twitter every day,
Check
and that's
Trump's
all
Twitter.
you read.
That's it. That's it. Do that.
Right.
At least
Yeah.
do that. You know.
And then you're going to get the straight story from the horse's mouth. Now, however way the media wants to go and turn that around, which
they're
do.
gonna do,
Yeah,
which they're gonna do, which they
and then
do
you're
all the
going to
time.
get fed that. Okay, let's look at that. A hard-working American, you got a family, a man and wife, both working. They got kids in school, and they're trying to build for the future. They're getting ripped off like crazy. Okay,
Yes.
by like the Obamacare
Sure.
thing. As
That's
one.
just one thing. Yeah.
Okay. Now they come home tired. They flip their TV on and they sit there, and what are they going to listen to?
False news.
Fake news. They receive the propaganda. It has nothing to do with truth or realism. It's propaganda. That's a machine. It goes way back to, my God, almost before radio, that the communists knew that they could control the media. They will control the people because they'll feed them with enough propaganda. Education is the next one. Remember, we talked healthcare. The next one, and the most important, is education. If we can get a hold of the education to the point we can now indoctrinate rather than educate, then we've come a long way to being able to take over the full control.
I got to tell you something. You just brought something up. Last Sunday at the end of my baseball game, and there were a bunch of us standing around, and I was putting stuff in my car, and there were two young Hispanic guys. We're playing up in Madera last week, and I asked them how old they were. They asked me. I had a Trump shirt on. I have a baseball shirt that I wear underneath. It's red, you know, because we have red uniforms, and I have I made it into one of my 19 Donald Trump shirts. So they said, "Oh my God, you're for Trump?" And I said, "I most definitely am." And they said, "Why would you be for Trump? You know, he wants to take all the Mexicans out of the country." And I said, you have to picture this situation. There's 20 ball players standing around, right? They're all waiting for my answer because they know I have a radio show. And I said, "Who told you that?" And they said, "Well, that's what my mom and dad said." I said, "How old are you?" They said, 16 years old. I said, "Don't you think you're old enough to find out about yourself on your own without listening to what anyone says, even your parents? Why don't you do a little digging, do your due diligence, find out what's going on before you make a statement that comes from someone else?"
Well,
and
Trump-
that's what happens.
Well, sure.
You know,
Well, just that alone. Okay, look at it this way. Has he ever said or anything he wants to take the Americans
No.
out of America? Of course not. But let's just think about that. He wants to make it safer for the Mexican citizens.
exactly.
And
that.
he wants to make the opportunity greater so that now when they're competing for a job, they're not competing with some people who are illegal.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now how does that,
and we talked about
if
that. I
you're-
said that.
you know.
And of course they didn't understand it. It's so ingrained in them because they hear their parents. It's
Well,
like you
that-
said, they come home at the end of the day, they flip on the TV, they see this,
Right.
and they talk about it, and the kids are just sitting there listening.
Well, they go to school, and who are they being taught?
Oh my gosh,
They're
there's
being
the
taught
other
by
thing.
indoctrinators.
Exactly, there's the
They're
other
not
thing right there.
educators.
Yeah, so
They're
this is
indoctrinators.
yeah, and if you hear something long enough, you and I talked about this, it becomes ingrained in you, and it becomes part of your personality.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right. So it's pretty difficult for a kid to separate what the teacher is teaching them that is educational and necessary. Separate that from the indoctrination that she or he may be.
Exactly,
being.
it's very difficult.
It's
Yeah.
very difficult. You're expecting a lot for somebody for that. However, I think that there is more and more. The message is there is an alternative coming out there, and this is because of what Trump is doing and what there is. Like this show as an example.
Well, I couldn't help but, I had that 30-minute drive back to Fresno after the baseball game, and I turned the radio off, and I couldn't help but think on the way back, these two 16-year-old kids, and they were good kids. You
Yeah,
could tell. They were
sure.
really good kids. You could
Right.
tell that. And I thought, how many good kids, minority kids, black, Hispanic, Asian, think that way? A lot of them
Well,
think that
sure.
way. A whole
Absolutely.
bunch of them think that way because they're
Yeah.
influenced by what their parents think,
And there'll be, in the bright side of that, there's going to be a lot of them that's going to wake up. There's going to
Exactly.
be a lot of them get their minds. I call it get their minds right.
Yeah.
And just ask simple questions. If you're not for America, then who you're for? If America's first, and then if you're not of the belief of America first, then who is second?
See, that's a great question for all of you out there. It's a great question for all of you. Who are you for if you're not for America?
Well, you like a congressman, you go right up and ask a congressman, "Are you America first?" Well, the reason I'm asking is because I noticed you voted the other way. So if you're not America first, I have to ask you the question:
Who are
Who are you for?
It's a great question.
And if
we-
so, and I want to know why.
these are the questions we should be writing our congressmen.
And
We should
they're-
be asking them this.
And they're simple questions. If
They're
you're-
very simple.
Yeah. If you're not for America first, then who are you for? And if you can't answer that, or you can answer that, then I'm going to ask you why. Why are you? Why can't you answer it? Are you American? Well, yeah, I'm American.
That's a great question. It is
It's a
an
very simple
outstanding
question, and you don't have to get it any deeper than that. And just you could leave it with that. I mean, if you're America first, everything we see is that, right? And explain why. In other words, it's not just I'm America first. No, it explains what it is that makes America first.
Exactly.
It's the regulations and rules and agreements and stuff that all go to make America first.
Yeah.
If you're not for that, then who are you for? Or what are you for?
I love that question. It's
and
a
if-
question that we should be putting to our congressmen.
Well, most of them, people can't answer it.
No.
Okay, so then you say, the reason you can't answer it is probably you don't know why. It's probably you don't know why you're not for America first.
They don't. They really don't. Ladies and gentlemen, it happens every single time. Look at the time. We've run out of time again. It happens every time when Gary comes on, every single time. We talk about it every week. And I'm going to ask him, can you come back next week?
Yeah, I was trying to bring the doctor with me.
Okay. That's going to be difficult.
Oh, I hear you.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you ahead of time for praying for my three friends who are going through a very difficult time for them. It's a very hard time for them. We're helping them. They're changing. They have hope. I'm going to take them beyond hope, hopefully. And I just want to tell you, as we say every week, about our law enforcement officers. Please, when you see one, go up and shake his hand and tell him how much we appreciate him, because we do. We lost some more in this country this week, And here's the sad part about things. There was a while back, there was a Baltimore officer who was shot because he hesitated, because he was afraid of being accused of being too aggressive and being aggressive. So he hesitated, and the poor man was shot. He didn't die. Fortunately, he did not. But we need to appreciate the people that are out there protecting us and doing a job for a minimal amount of pay. So go up to them, shake their hands, and tell them how much we appreciate them. Please do this. Do this as much as you can. Let's let, right here in Fresno, let's let the Fresno finest know that we appreciate them, because I'll tell you something, I do. I appreciate them. Gary appreciates them. The staff appreciates them, and we should let them know that. It makes them feel good. I told you about the female officer that I talked to a few weeks ago. She got out of her car and said, "Can I hug you?" And I said, "You bet you can." And it was, people were driving by. There were some people that took a picture. I thought I was going to be on the Fresno Bee. I thought maybe I'd be in the Fresno Bee. But anyway, it was a wonderful, wonderful thing for me, and I hope it was for her. I'm sure it was. So let me say what I say every week. Until we meet you joyously again next Friday at 3 o'clock, heaven's blessings.
Right down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every
CentralValleyTalk.com